for the wall, and I would like to say this is going to be a quick video, but it probably won't be because I have a lot I want to talk about. Um, so I remember when I first got on here, and when I first got on here, it was very much, WWE and TNA, and there were other people that, of course, talked about Ring of Honor, but I was probably one of the biggest that talked about Ring of Honor. And through all that, and really because there wasn't a lot of options to WWE. WWE at the time was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't. I wouldn't even say it was. It was good. It was already very stale. Um, TNA, in my opinion, it was already going down the downward slope that it would eventually go, and it somehow keeps going down. Um, and then, of course, you had Ring of Honor, and you had other indies as well, which, of course, weren't always the easiest for people to get because, you had to get them on DVDs, and as time has gone on, things have changed. And, this past week, and I probably should ask someone that has a better understanding, or at least would maybe be able to remember more than me, because or better than me, because I don't remember. We had a pretty amazing week of television when it comes to televised pro wrestling. Um, very much so. I've come on, and every time that you know, first it was Ring of Honor. People said, you got to get the DVDs, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and it's too hard to follow. And then it was, New Japan. And then, New Japan and Noah and a lot of the other Japanese, Dragon Gate, even Dragon Gate, which is probably the most underrated promotion right now, only because, New Japan is so amazing. And that Dragon Gate, who's the #2 promotion in Japan, kind of gets forgotten about. Even though they're probably as far as like quality, and if you kind of just judged everything, they would probably be the #2 promotion in the world. If you want to take as far as in ring work, and how much they really do draw, and you kind of want to and you think the WWE is really really bad, so you're not gonna like put them. If you're gonna kind of do that, then yeah, they would. They if you added everything together, they might be #2. Um, you know, uh, so where was I going with this? Oh yes, so, and there's always been, oh, it's in Japanese, oh, it's too hard to find, oh, this. Well, this past week, and it's kind of been kind of amazing when you realize that U.S. television on theoretically nationwide, not nationwide, but a pretty good portion of the country. You can watch, of course, Raw, which has sucked ass for the last, forever. Um, then you've got TNA, and I have not seen any of TNA since they went to Destination America. I have not watched it because I don't have Destination America. Um, but from what I've seen, and as far as screen caps and videos, and that's the production values are Ring of Honor like, and it looks just even it's sad, really, from what I've seen. Now I'm sure other people have seen it. Maybe it's good, but from everything I've seen, everything I've read, it sounds like it's just the same old thing, nothing really new, with worse production values. So ish on that. But of course, you also have, of course, Ring of Honor, which of course not everybody can see, but it's pretty much everywhere. Or well, not pretty much, but it's in a good portion of the country. You have, of course, Lucha Underground, which I got caught up on because everyone was telling me, "Oh, you need to watch it. You need to watch it." And you had NXT, which on the network, which to me is almost worth that, and the pay-per-views are worth getting NXT. And then, of course, this week we also had the New Japan uh, American version um, on Access TV, which used to be, or what? That's Access. Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, it's Access, which used to be HDNet, which Ring of Honor used to be on. So yeah, so you've got all of this new stuff now. Now, we'll start with Lucha Underground because, well, well, let me just state this. This past week may have, I can't think. I'm sure there was probably some week during the Monday Night Wars that I'm not thinking of, and maybe sometime during, the early '90s, late '80s, where you had a week of television from different promotions that was this good, because you had Lucha Underground, which had a very good to great show, and I'll get to Lucha Underground. Then you had NXT, which had a great show, no question. Then you had the New Japan debut on Access, which was awesome. And then you had, if you haven't seen it, you need to get out of your way and see that show. Then you had Ring of Honor, which was really good. I wouldn't say great, but I thought it was really good. And I'll go down each show kind of as we go. But we'll start with Lucha Underground. When Lucha Underground first was concepted, I guess, and we found, and the spoilers for the first set of tapings came out. It really didn't sound like anything I wanted to watch. Just from what I knew before, it was going to be, kind of AAA, USA with some indie guys thrown in. And I was really kind of perplexed with some of the talent they used and some of the talent they weren't using from even the American talent that they weren't using from AAA. Kind of perplexed me. And then just kind of the stuff I heard they were doing, they were doing the evil, authority figure, and I'll get into that. Just you had the women wrestling the men, which there's certain points where I think that works, and there's certain times I don't. I think it worked with China. I think it works if you use like Awesome Kong, which I understand TNA brought back, and good for them for bringing her back. And then and it works in like Chikara, for example, where it's much more tongue in cheek, and you had women who, it kind of fits the promotion. This is a promotion that was meant to be taken a little bit more seriously than Chikara would, I would say. And so bringing in the women they did to fight the men just kind of isn't my thing at all. But I will get into that. So, the show did not sound appealing to me at all. I would hear people talk about like the first couple of shows and it didn't sound. But then people started saying, "Hey, the wrestling's really good. This is really a fun show. This, that, and the other." And so finally, last week, theoretically enough, before even the next show came out that was really good, I decided I would enough people bugged me about it that I'd be okay, I'll watch it. So I sat down last week and I pretty much just marathoned all the episodes, and I think there's 9 or 10. I think is where they're at now. And this was. Let me talk about what I didn't like it before, and then I'll get into what I will say. This it is very good. It's a very good show. But let me talk about what I don't like first, and then I'll get into what I do like. I don't like my biggest complaint with the show is Vampiro. It's like, why is he even there? I get why he theoretically is there as a commentator, but he's horrible. I mean, just not very good. It's almost just like he's not there half the time. It's Matt Striker is often having to explain why he's not talking, and it's not really good. And and Matt Striker is annoying Matt Striker, but I don't know how annoying he is because Vampiro's so bad. So it's kind of that sort of thing. So I don't like that. I talked about the women thing. It kind of bothers me, particularly the fact that you're using Sexy Star, who have all of the AAA women. I get why they're using her because she's probably the most diva-like of the AAA women. But me personally, I really don't know why you wouldn't bring in either Fabi Apache or Maria Apache. I don't know why you would bring either of them, maybe both of them. Honestly, if you kind of want to do women's wrestling, but that's just me. And then there's other people that like Jack Evans isn't on this show, which he seems like somebody you would want on this show. The fact that you basically took uh, Messinas, who's a Ricky Reyes, and you put him under a mask. Though the character's awesome. That is an awesome character. He basically plays a masked wrestler called basically Death. 1,000 Deaths is what he's supposed to be, and the character's really good, but he just kind of threw me a little bit. And there's some other stuff like that too. But for the most part, but other than those things, I think the show's really good. I think the owner, the guy who's an actual actor, is really good. I do like the format of the show. Um, one of the executive producers is the same guy that did Wrestling Society X, and I really liked the way that show was done because it was done so different from what pro wrestling was, and it was more of a TV show, which is this is the same thing. Is much more of a TV show the way it's filmed, especially the backstage segments and the video packages are awesome on this show. Really kind of get you into what guys are, their character, the whole thing. Even the guys that don't speak English, mainly speak Spanish, they do a very good job with the subtitles and all of that sort of thing. So there's that. The where like Ring of Honor and now TNA, where everything is really dark because of the lighting. Lighting's really bright. It's very WWE-esque, even though it's a smaller venue. I know that they taped, I guess this week, this past weekend, where uh, Alberto El Patron, I believe was what he's calling himself now, who oddly enough just debuted on Ring of Honor television this weekend. He they taped his debut in Lucha Underground, which is pretty interesting. So there's that. But it is very bright, and it is very, that part of it, and what they're trying to do is, but back to my point, uh, my mind's all over the place. I'm very interested to see what the crowd will be like on these next set of tapings. Now that they've had tapings, people seem to be into the product, and probably people actually want to see the show. So that will be interesting. And I heard that the tickets were very hard to get for this set of tapings, so that's good. But yeah, I enjoy the show. I'm not enamored with it as much as a lot of other people are. I think the wrestling, if you liked the X Division, particularly early TNA, you'll really like this because a lot of the matches are that. Though they do a good job. Sometimes you only get like 2, maybe 3 matches, like Ring of Honor, and they're spaced out and they're long. So you've got that as well. But yeah, it's very interesting. And then of course you have the owner, and the owner is not your typical, evil, authority figure owner. He's just this sleazy scumball owner that is like pitting everybody against everybody. And so he comes off so much better, and he comes off just really awesome. Not just because he's an act, because the character just really, he's different. He's different from what we're used to. He's not just the I'm in charge guy. It's the I'm the owner. I'm a sleazeball. He's almost, now that I'm thinking about it, he's a lot like what Mr. McMahon was in the 90s. Kind of updated. He's just this sleazy guy that's pitting everybody against each other, and he has his favorites, but also he's really all of this sort of stuff. So there's that. Of course, Ricochet is on the show. He's supposed to be the big star, even though they put him under a mask and he doesn't talk. Though Conan talks for him, so that's fine. There's a lot of story stuff that actually kind of intrigues me. There's the whole thing with the key that the owner guy has. There's definitely, I think, something along the line that they keep bringing up the seven tribes of the 7 Aztec tribes, and that there's certain guys represent certain parts of the Aztec tribe. So I definitely think that will probably be something that they continue to go with. So there's a lot of stuff that intrigues me about the show. Like I said, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I don't enjoy it as much as I've seen other people say they enjoy it, but I think it's really, really good. And so yeah, there's one option. Then of course we have NXT, which of course is WWE, but it's their developmental. And the TV sometimes is okay. It's usually okay to good. Sometimes it's great. And then of course but everything pretty much leads to and is booked pretty well to the specials, and the specials are always pretty awesome for a 2-hour special. They're very well done, and I think the next one will be really good. This last show kind of really set everything up very well, I thought, and was just a lot of just really good stuff, to be honest. I mean, we just keep getting good stuff from NXT. Then you had the New Japan show, which debuted on Access on Friday night. It airs. I think in the same. I think it airs the second hour of Impact, I think, is when it airs. I don't have access, so there's that. But I did watch the show. The show was really good. Maranello, who a lot of people kind of have this hate, don't really like him, and I've never understood why. Because I've always enjoyed the way he calls things. He calls wrestling so great. And then you have Josh Barnett, who MMA guy, but also pro wrestling, who has done pro wrestling. Was basically taught how to grapple by pro wrestlers, and you know, so he's basically giving a very explaining why the moves hurt and explaining this and explaining that. They did a really good job on the show. They had probably the worst part of the show was they had Tanahashi basically do an interview, like an in-studio interview at the start, explaining things, and then he did it after. That came off kind of wonky. I would imagine it had a lot to do with the translation and even the culture. That's one of the things with the Japanese, is that the culture is so different and the language is so different that often when you get a translation, it's not the easiest thing in the world to translate. So was that too? That was an awesome show, and just an awesome show. Then you had Ring of Honor, which had I'd say a very good show. You had Taven and Taven basically going for was he going for a title, or was he? Yeah, Briscoe versus Taven, and that was good. You had, like I said, Alberto Del El Patron. He debuted in an interview segment, which is going to lead up eventually to him versus. Can't think of his name. Anyways, it's going to lead up to him going for the TV title at the next pay-per-view. And if he's on Lucha Underground, I imagine that'll probably be his probably his last match. But that's all right. And you had a match with Kazarian, which I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was good. It was a good show, and again, the thing with Ring of Honor show is that it's booked in a way to where it leads up to the big shows and to the pay-per-views, which is what you want. So sometimes there's some treading water. Sometimes you get some stuff that it's just kind of there, but it's either really okay or good, or it's a lot like NXT in that sense. But that gives you 4 options that you can watch. 4. I won't do that 4. We'll do this 4. It gives you 4 options that you can watch that have English commentary, that are on, I would think, on a lot of people's televisions. That is easy to find even if it's not on your television, that you can watch, and you can be happy about wrestling. You don't have to watch Ring of Honor, or you don't have to watch WWE and be sad and complain and blah, 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 or watch, TNA and do the exact same thing. There is stuff out there to watch, definitely. And, like I said, you still have Dragon Gate if you're willing to check out, Dragon Gate proper, which is, like I said, very good. Their end of the year show I wouldn't say it was a great show, but it wasn't like something you had to see. New Japan really skews a lot of stuff when it comes to that. You have that. You have you have Suzuki Gun from New Japan invading Noah, and so now Noah looks very interesting, and I will be watching the first 2 shows, which I have not seen yet. Very, very soon, because I want to see them. The first show at the end, they basically they invade, and then on the second show I'm going to watch, it's kind of Noah versus them, and looks like there's going to be some good matches. That's all going to lead up to Suzuki taking on Morifuji, which should be a really good match. So there we go there. So that's, I have that to look forward to. There's, like I said, there's lots and lots of looking forward to, even though WWE, has pretty much sucked since SummerSlam. And hasn't been very good. Raw hasn't been good, like I said, forever. TNA, who knows what's going on with TNA. I'm still not sure why they did those tapings in New York, but they did. It'll be very interesting to see. So there's, like I said, there's stuff to watch now, and hopefully people will go out of their way to see it. Like I said, Lucha Underground to me, like I said, was very good. I do think it's probably, um, I would say it's probably the best only because New Japan only had one episode, though. I could see if you follow, the New Japan, and what the New Japan shows are, by the way, I should explain this. They're starting in, what, 2013, I think, was the, yeah. Um, so basically 2 years ago, right? Or a year ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. They're starting with that. They're doing 13 episodes. And the idea is to get, is to introduce you to New Japan. So they're starting with Tanahashi and Okada. They're going to introduce you to that feud. That's what this episode was about. They're going to go on. They're going to introduce the Bullet Club. They're going to do all sorts of stuff like that. So you're going to be able to see the first. That's the first 13. If it's successful and they go, the idea is that eventually they'll catch up, and maybe they'll be, maybe a month behind the Japanese, and that way it'll at least kind of tie into, the pay-per-views and that sort of thing that, hopefully uh, New Japan keeps being able to do. So there's all that. But anyways, that's kind of just all I wanted to come on and talk about. Though I had planned on doing a video where I was going to talk about how I would have booked WrestleMania, because I think WWE is so horrible at the moment. But it became very obvious to me once I started booking it that nobody in WWE is over. There's very few natural feuds in WWE because of the way they book. The fact that, Rusev has the U.S. title, and the rumor is they want to do Rusev versus Cena at uh, WrestleMania. My thing is they really need to combine the U.S. and Continental Championship. I think everybody thinks that. I definitely think they should do it. The problem is, how do you do that without beating Rusev? I guess you could do a three-way, but and then you could do it, but how does that tie into Cena and Rusev? I mean, I'm sure there's ways to do it, but you have that. It's, what's the tag team match you're gonna do? Are you gonna do like a four-way? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with the women? If you don't do Rusev at WrestleMania, what do you do with Cena? He's kind of out there on his own. Do you I would do Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. I think that's very easy. What's the deal with Undertaker? What's the, like I said, it's just, what do you do with Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt? Those were two guys that I just couldn't find any place on the card for them, even though it was, they probably should be on the card. It's been very difficult. I might still do it, but I'm just having a very hard time just coming up with a card that I think is really good. My friend Brian said that, what you should do is like a Shield three-way, but to me the natural thing, for Shield members at WrestleMania would be Orton versus Rollins at WrestleMania, and then whatever you're going to do with Reigns, I mean, it's just it's very just like, what do you do, because they basically haven't gotten anybody over, and it's like, what matches do you want to see, and what do you care to see, and and like I said, there's very few natural feuds, and that's a big major problem. But what are you gonna do? Anyways, with that, I'm out. I've rambled on long enough. Like I said, all I really wanted to say was there's good TV out there, folks. TV, not DVDs, not searching YouTube, not, whatever. There's good TV out there. Now, watch it. Don't bitch about stuff that's not good, because I bitch about stuff that's not good. I mean, we all want WWE to be good, because the better WWE is, the better pro wrestling is, but honestly, there's good stuff out there. Support it. There you go. All right, I'm out. Later.